What if the reason your home never quite feels relaxing has nothing to do with your furniture, your paint color, or even the size of the room? What if the real problem is something you switch on every single evening without thinking about it? Light doesn't just help us see. It quietly influences how a room feels, where our eyes go, and whether our brain interprets a space as energetic, comfortable, intimate, or cold. And once you understand that, you can start designing your home around how you actually want to feel, not just how you want it to look. Think about the typical room. One ceiling fixture comes on, the entire space becomes equally bright, and every corner is exposed. It is practical, but it often feels strangely flat. Now imagine something different. A warm glow lands on your favorite chair. A small lamp illuminates the book you're reading. A soft light brushes across a textured wall while the corners of the room remain slightly darker. Nothing about the furniture changed, but suddenly, the room feels calmer, richer, and more intentional. That's the psychology of layered lighting. The first principle is simple. Stop treating lighting as an on or off decision. Our homes are filled with different activities and different emotional moments. You might need bright, focused light while preparing dinner, but that doesn't mean you need the entire kitchen glowing at full intensity. You might want enough light to read in the evening, but you don't necessarily want the rest of the bedroom illuminated like a workplace. This is where three layers become incredibly useful: accent, task, and ambient lighting. Accent lighting gives your eyes somewhere to go. It can highlight artwork, a bookshelf, a plant, a fireplace, or an architectural feature. Instead of making everything equally important, it creates a visual hierarchy. And that matters because a room becomes more interesting when your eyes can move through it. Next comes task lighting. This is lighting with a specific purpose. A lamp beside a reading chair, a light underneath kitchen cabinets, a focused fixture over a desk. The trick is precision. Good task lighting gives you enough illumination for the activity without flooding the entire room. The result is surprisingly comfortable because your eyes get what they need while the surrounding space can remain softer. Then there's ambient lighting, the layer that creates the overall emotional atmosphere. This might come from a lamp bouncing light off a wall, a hidden LED strip behind furniture, or a fixture that creates a gentle glow rather than a harsh beam. And here's where things get really interesting. The most beautiful rooms aren't necessarily the brightest rooms. They're rooms where light and shadow are working together. If you've ever walked into a restaurant, hotel, or beautifully designed home and immediately felt that it had a certain atmosphere, there's a good chance lighting was doing more work than you realized. A designer may use light to create little islands throughout the room. One pool of light around a dining table, another around a sofa, another highlighting artwork in the distance. Those separate zones can make an open room feel more intimate without adding walls. And there's another technique that can completely change how a room feels: directing light toward the walls. When light spreads evenly across a wall, it can make the surface feel brighter and visually less dominant. This can be especially useful in smaller spaces because reducing harsh contrast can make the room feel more open. But move the light closer to a textured surface, and something very different happens. Instead of hiding the texture, the light reveals it. Stone, brick, plaster, wood, fabric, even subtle architectural details can suddenly develop depth because tiny shadows appear across the surface. This is why expensive-looking interiors often don't rely on more decoration. Sometimes they simply reveal the texture that's already there. And this brings us to one of the most overlooked parts of home lighting: direction. A light pointed straight down creates one kind of environment. A light aimed across a wall creates another. A lamp shining upward creates another. The direction determines what catches your attention and what fades into the background. But there's one more detail that can completely undermine all of this: color temperature. You can have beautiful fixtures, carefully positioned lamps, and perfectly chosen furniture, but if the light is too cold, the entire atmosphere can change. Warm white light generally creates a softer, more residential feeling, while cooler light tends to feel more energetic and functional. That's why the same room can feel cozy in the evening and strangely clinical when illuminated by harsh, cool bulbs. For relaxing spaces, warmer light is often the better starting point. And if you want one simple upgrade that gives you dramatically more control, use dimmers wherever practical. Because the best lighting isn't always about finding the perfect brightness. It's about having the ability to change it. During the afternoon, your living room might need plenty of light. Later at night, you may want that same room to become quieter and softer. Dimming allows the room to transition with you. But there's a mistake people often make once they discover directional lighting. They start highlighting everything. Every painting gets a spotlight. Every shelf gets an LED strip. Every corner gets illuminated. And ironically, the room becomes less interesting. Because if everything is highlighted, nothing feels important. Think of your room like a stage. The spotlight only works because the surrounding space isn't equally bright. Shadow gives the illuminated areas meaning. That doesn't mean your home should be dark or uncomfortable. It means you should allow some areas to remain visually quiet. A darker corner can make a glowing lamp feel warmer. A shadow behind a chair can create depth. A softly lit hallway can draw your attention toward a brighter room beyond it. The goal isn't simply to eliminate darkness, it's to control it. And once you start seeing your home this way, you'll realize something fascinating. Lighting isn't just decoration. It's storytelling. It tells you where to sit, what to notice, when to slow down, when to focus, when the day is ending. So the next time your home feels a little cold or lifeless, don't immediately start shopping for new furniture. Look up. Look at the walls. Look at where the shadows fall. Then ask yourself one simple question. Is every part of this room demanding attention, or have I created enough contrast for the room to breathe? Because sometimes the most comfortable home isn't the one with the most light. It's the one where light knows exactly where to go. And that small change in perspective can transform the way you experience the space you've been living in all along. If this changed the way you see your home, give the video a like, subscribe for more practical design ideas, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. And tell me in the comments, which room in your home would you transform first with better lighting?